welcome to Show Up, Stand Out online visibility series for entrepreneurs. My name is Juliette Stapleton. I'm known as the Queen of Visibility, and I am here to bring you awesome experts. Today, we're going to talk about copywriting, and don't panic because there's something that we're going to introduce to you that will make writing a breeze, even if you are not a copywriter or never written anything before. I want to introduce you to Nathan Fraser. Hi, Nathan.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Nathan is an awesome copywriter. He's also a podcast producer. You can see the fancy equipment and everything on his setup. Speaks for itself. He's the director of marketing for Podcast Blast Off and the author of the new book that we're going to talk about. And it's called How to Write a Sales Page Even If You're Not a Copywriter. And it's literally what it says on the tin, because I've used the book on one of my sales pages, and it's absolutely brilliant. Nathan, just in short, how did you end up being a copywriter? Was it something that you always felt a calling for?
No, actually, I started out as a 3-time failed entrepreneur. I ran 3 businesses into the ground. My last business, it was a software as a service company, and we had a distribution deal through one of the world's largest retailers. And due to conflicts over IP rights, they wanted exclusive rights and we couldn't give them up. That deal ended up falling through, and we ended up with a product that we spent 3 years developing and a bunch of our own money, time invested into. And we had a product that was selling, but we didn't know how to sell it. And so basically we ended up with a great product that we had no idea how to get out to the marketplace. And so when I went back to my team and I had my next idea, which was a podcast hosting company, they were not on board until I promised them that I would learn how to sell. So I learned how to copyright, I learned how to market, and it was mainly out of necessity. But now that I've gotten into it, I love copywriting. I can't imagine doing anything else.
You have a knack for it, though, and it's funny how sometimes life kind of gives us a kick up the backside to find something that we're good at and we love. And I found reading your book, that particular book, so easy. In fact, I just went in and straight away started implementing it, because there's no point spending time reading if it's an instruction and it says how to write a sales page. I said, okay, I have a sales page, and off I went. And I found that it was very easy. But you are so right about the selling element. There's a lot of people with great ideas, and there's a lot of people with great missions and great products, and yet, unless you are visible, unless you're selling with conviction, things just don't happen. How did you learn to copyright? How did you learn to sell? This is something that is very overwhelming, I think, when you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I just started studying. Fortunately, we live in a time where the world of information is available at your fingertips. So through online courses, through picking up books, through listening to podcasts, I think I started deep diving into it back in 2012, 2013. And over the last 6-7 years, I've just put thousands and thousands of hours and dollars into learning the skill. And eventually I did it initially for our own business, and then people started seeing the results we were getting, and people were saying, hey, can you write an ad for me? Can you write a radio spot for me? Can you write a sales page for me? Can you write a pamphlet for me? And it just slowly started building up to the point where now for the last couple of years, I've been very confident and been consistently getting very good results with my copy.
Well, that's true. I have a question for you. So let's talk about the book, and the book is How to Write Sales Pages. So let's talk about sales pages. Before we jumped into this interview, I confessed that I rarely read long sales pages, but I do see the need for them. And that's why when I learned about the book, a friend of mine recommended it, I straight away got it, and I straight away started writing. Why do we need in your opinion, long sales pages? Even though some people, maybe like me, they don't read them.
So there's 2 reasons. Number one, if it's an expensive offer, it's going to take a lot of convincing. If it's a lot of the things that I sell end up going for more than $1,000, and for $1,000, you can't just say, here's my thing, buy now. Unless, and then here's the other factor, unless somebody is already familiar with you. So if we're really good friends and you come up to me and you say, hey, can I borrow $100? If we're really good friends and I trust you and I know that you're good for it and I know that you're not going to go spend it on illicit substances, I'm not going to have any problem. I'm going to be like, yeah, hit me back whenever you can. But if I don't know who you are, or if I've just maybe heard of you and it's the first time meeting you and you come up to me and you say, hey, can I borrow $100? You're going to have to put a lot of work into convincing me. So for the business owner out there, if the person reading your sales page is already sold, like you mentioned before we got on the call, if I've already seen promotions, if I already know that I want this, I'm just looking to see how much it costs and if I can afford it. For that person, they don't need a long form sales page. But for the person who's maybe not very familiar with you and you're asking them to give you $1,000 for your product or service, it's going to take a little bit more convincing. So familiarity, are they familiar with you? And how big is the ask? Are you asking for $10 or are you asking for $1,000? The closer towards 1,000 or 1,000 plus, you're going to need more sales copy.
That's true. That's a very good point. In your opinion, what are the most important parts that have to be there, and maybe something that people forget to include on a sales page?
I think the most important part is you need to have a good headline that captures their attention and makes the promise that they want to hear. Ben Settle, one of my buddies and mentors, he one time early on in my career, he told me, what you really need to know is the one promise that people want to hear. If you were a door-to-door salesman and you knocked on the door and somebody opened the door and you only had one sentence to make a promise to get their attention and to make them know that you weren't just going to waste their time, what would that one promise that they would want to hear be? That needs to be encapsulated in your headline. If your headline doesn't stop them and provoke them to read more, the rest of your sales copy doesn't matter at all. So the headline is very important. And then we'll skip all the way to the end of the sales page. Your call to action. A lot of people's calls to action are very weak. They're wishy-washy. They use words like, this might be the thing that you're looking for, or if you're interested, please give us a call. They sound desperate to get the sale. And if you don't have confidence when you're making the offer, people aren't going to be confident. And if they don't see confidence in you, they're not going to be confident in it either. So those are the two things that I really see people struggle with on their sales copy. And then bullets, writing bullet points is also a big struggle. And that's in the book. I focused, probably the biggest chapter of the book is focused on how to write bullets. And I give a list of a bunch of different bullet types and how to construct them, because bullets are so powerful. They're for the skimmers like you that just look at the sales page and we say, I'm just going to fly through this and see if anything grabs my attention. The bullet points are great for that if you know how to write them in a compelling way.
That is actually a very, very good point. And it's true. I skip big chunks of text. I write myself big chunks of text when I write, but I skip them when I read, and I think it's a normal thing, especially if it's on screen. And in fact, I read the studies where we stop reading on screen and we scan the pages. So it's important to have different elements. And that's actually what I really liked about your book, because you were going through every element and literally step by step. Next section is this is what we have to do. These are the types of bullets. This is how you formulate this. And I thought it was so easy. I bounced just like this of the ideas that you had in the book. So in general, you just mentioned call to action not being strong enough. And I know a lot of people, and a lot of people in my audience would have, if they would be afraid to be salesy weirdos. So they would be afraid to say, buy it from me now, it's the best. And they'd say, well, please buy it from me, because I'm so nice. So you're actually saying that this is sort of like a losing position to have when you're being nice.
Yeah, and I get that. I feel like I hate it when a salesperson is pushy, and I don't want to be the pushy person. But at the same time, you have to know the difference between being pushy and being confident. A lot of, like in the dating world, it's very easy to confuse being cocky and arrogant with being confident. A lot of people that think they're confident just come off as cocky and arrogant, and you're like, oh, that's a turnoff. I do not like that. But when somebody's confident, you can tell. You're like, okay, I do like that. I find that very attractive. And the same thing with sales copy. You don't want to be the sleazy, slimy salesperson, but you also need to be able to convey confidence. And a lot of times when we use those weasel words, I like to call them, when we use the words that they subtly give off or subconsciously give off a cue to the reader that we're not confident in what we're selling. And if we don't come off as confident in what we're selling, they're, even if they don't recognize it or register it on their front end of their consciousness, in the back end, they're thinking to themselves, even if they don't realize, they're thinking to themselves, if they're not confident that this is going to be the solution for me, I probably shouldn't be confident either.
That's true. That's a great point. One thing I want to kind of sway this conversation a little bit away from sales pages now and into one of the most important things for small businesses, because very often we don't sell off our website when we're a small business. It's not just that some random people come to our sales page and then, we have to convince them. We do a lot of work before they even come to the sales page, right? So if we would talk about social media and the whole, your own presence on social media and creating content and just to win over people, in your opinion, should you really be like, what sort of direction you should take? Should you be all strict professional and keep talking about your business, or should you mix a bit of who you are? What's the winning thing? That's something that I think stops people from showing up altogether, because they don't know how to present themselves.
Personally, I think social media should be more personal, because you have to understand why people go to social media. People don't go to social media to learn about your business. They go to social media to learn about you. And so you need to have, in my opinion, and this is what I found works best for me and my clients, in your social media, I do the 80-20 rule. About 80% of my posts are about me and my beliefs and about building my tribe and building familiarity with the people that are following me. And then 20% of my posts are going to be about, here's how you can do business with me. Here's how you can buy what I'm selling or what I'm offering. And the thing that I would say to keep in mind is know who your audience is and know what their values are, who their villains are, what are the things that they stand for, what are the things that they stand against. And be willing to say those things. Be willing to speak for your audience, because that's what's going to make your stuff go viral. The people share when they see something that they say, that's exactly how I feel. I wish I could have formulated that into words. They're going to share that. So instead of speaking to your audience, speak for your audience. That's going to be the stuff that they share. That's going to be the stuff that they want their friends to see. And then what I found is when you post those types of posts, those get shared by their friends. And once your post gets shared by a friend of a friend, that's when your stuff starts going viral. And if you want to build that audience, know your audience's values, know their virtues, know their villains, and don't be afraid to publicly put those out. And again, we live in the world where everybody wants to put their opinion on social media, but every time I post something, I ask myself, does this help my audience express their opinion about something? And if the answer is yes, then I go ahead and post it.
I love it. I call it strategic showing up, when you're actually thinking about, nobody really cares what you had for breakfast. That's what I say to people, but they do care what you stand for. If they're sometimes not maybe prepared to say that, and you do, and they will feel more empowered by resonating with you, just because you are, as you said, speaking for them. The only thing is that a lot of the question that I know my audience has is, how do you get to know these things? How do you get to know what what their villains are, how do you get to know your audience?
So this is a large part of what makes sales copy and marketing effective, is doing the research. And the way that I do the research is, I know my people ask me, because I post a lot of political stuff that people would say, oh, I don't feel comfortable posting that. But I know my audience. My audience is entrepreneurs. My audience is very free market. They believe that the money that they earn should stay in their pocket. They believe that people My audience has a very positive outlook on people. They believe that people are there for people, and they trust their neighbors more than their politicians. And so because that's my audience, I can get away with stuff that maybe other people wouldn't. But say your audience is stay-at-home moms that are trying to start a business, or say that your audience is 18-year-old entrepreneurs who are trying to avoid going to college and they're trying to start their own business as a way to make money. There's ways to find out what that community, those people's values are. And it's so easy with the internet now. You can go on YouTube videos that they watch, and you can just scroll through the comment sections. You can join Facebook groups, and you can just scroll through the threads. You can listen to podcasts that are geared towards the audience, and you can see what the guests on those podcasts are talking about. If you do a little bit of research on your audience, again, going back to the beginning of this conversation, the world of information is at your fingertips. You just got to do a little bit of work and do some digging and find that research material.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And you looked it all the way back, which is a brilliant ending sort of to this interview. Guys, I'm going to have a link to the book that you should buy, seriously, like just today, right now. Go get yourself a book, start writing your sales pages. But Nathan, where can we follow? Because I know you have a big group as well that people can join and follow up and be in your world.
I'm going to pass on giving that out because it's a very exclusive group, so I don't really promote it very much. But I will, if you don't mind, I will say definitely check out salespagebook.com, and that's where you can get the how to write a sales page, even if you're not a copywriter book. But if people enjoy the book and they want to find out more, they'll eventually find their way into my private group as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, we'll take it from there. Thank you so much for being my lovely guest today. And guys, if you want to be, definitely comment below. If you have any questions, tag Nathan or myself, and we'll get back and answer them. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week with another episode of Show Up, Stand Out. See you later. Bye. Bye, Nathan.
Bye. Thank you.